every single day from people who are worried about noise pollution, who are worried about their water pressure, the value of their home, the aquifer that we sit on that provides so much of the water for South Jersey. We need to protect our environment, and we need politicians who understand who they are there to serve. Not some company in Silicon Valley or France, but the people of South Jersey. And by the way, I haven't heard Jeff Andrews say a peep about this issue. Where is he on it?
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Mr. Alexander, how should the federal government regulate these facilities to protect local communities?
And thank you, and I want to thank you for the clarification, because the reality is that states and local governments they do have independence to do what they deem is good. But we see that that's not being done properly. Congress has the power of the purse strings. Many of these AI centers receive federal subsidies that we can attach conditions, a comprehensive independent impact study for the environment. A certain amount of the energy used has to be clean energy, renewable energy that they produce. So if you want to put up a 200 million square foot facility and you have gas burning generators the size of cruise ships, no. If you want federal dollars, I want to see wind turbines. I want to see solar panels, and you're producing a percentage of the energy you're using. That's what Congress can do. We control the money. And if you want these things, you want our tax dollars, this is what you're going to have to do. And that's how a Congress member should step up and do the right thing. As my colleague to my right said, Jeff hasn't done a single thing. I have also appeared before the Environment Council, and I've talked to them about suspending their activities so they could get an environmental impact study from an independent agency. I got nowhere with it. After the meeting, I met with several of the council members. I met them that night, and I met them later on. Hey, why don't you do this? It's going to go a long way with the citizens in the town, but you're also going to find out what actually is going to happen with this data center next to a golf course pulling from the same aquifer. I mean, I got a good idea, but let's do an actual data study to show that it's going to be very, very harmful in the long run. The noise is going to be very, very harmful. And no new energy going back in the grid as a result of this is extremely harmful.
How should the federal government regulate AI data centers to protect local communities?
Thank you. Well, first off, we already have a blueprint. We federally regulate things like oil rigs and things like that. So we already do it. There's a blueprint there. But the main thing that needs to happen is these AI data centers cannot be pulling from the same grid as everybody else and jacking up everybody's prices. Why should we have to pay a higher electric bill from our businesses, from our residences, because there's an AI data center? Secondly, they have huge roofs. How are they not required to have solar panels on top of them at a minimum? Of course, an environmental impact study needs to be required from a federal level. Why would that not be a requirement? It's a requirement on other things like oil rigs. Let's make it a requirement of AI data centers. And I just want to give one quick local example, because we had a pilot program. And let me just say this very quickly. Don't say you support teachers, you support police officers, you support firefighters, you support our Department of Public Works if you're not paying taxes. Pilot programs that allow these multi-billion-dollar companies not to pay taxes in their local communities is absurd. And we should not let it happen. Where we give these billionaires and billion-dollar companies tax breaks, you don't think it's happening at home. It's happening at home, and we have to stop it. I'll just give one example from my time as mayor. We had someone approach the city for a redevelopment zone, including a pilot program. We said no. Why would one business get advantages that everyone else doesn't get? So we said no, and that project never happened. And I say that as my experience as an elected official. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Finn. How should the federal government regulate AI data centers to protect local communities?
Well, from the start, I would stand with Bernie when it came to calling for a moratorium. We need them to stop, and not just in New Jersey, but throughout the country. And as mentioned, we have the power of the purse. Tax at a higher rate, flat out. You're using more energy, we're going to tax you, we're going to hand it back in a rebate to the communities that are affected by it. Because it's not just Vineland's affected. Everybody in this area has seen their electric bill jack up. I live up in Mansfield. My electric bill was 2-3 times what it was from one summer to the other. And it's all because of the AI data center. And impact studies are great, but we don't need an impact study to tell an AI data center, you're going to use recycled wastewater, period. It might cost them more money to build their data center. Too bad. Nebulous is a $21 billion company. They're an international company, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, when they have to build their data centers, they're told, you're going to use wastewater. And they build it, and they still make a profit. Just like when I bought my prescription drugs 20-some years ago when I was in college. I bought it for a third the price, and the company here in the United States is still making a profit. Nebulous, trust me, they're not going to go poor just because they have to use recycled wastewater. They're not going to go poor if they have to pay more money for the electric they use. Think of it like reverse, BJ's or Costco. They're using it in bulk, they're going to pay more. And they have to reinvest in the grid. Our grid and our infrastructure is already, needs to be fixed, and they're just making it quicker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The most desirable outcome of the CD2 election in November is replacing Jeff Van Drew. Thank you.
Do we all agree on that?
Yeah. Mr. Winder, what political constituencies, alliances, and power bases would you call upon to defeat Jeff Van Drew?
Well, firstly, well played in stealing the spotlight, Mr. Moderator. I carry around a cardboard cutout of Jeff Van Drew when I go to town halls. The reason why is because the real man does not show unless they're at a fundraiser or a ribbon cutting. Maybe at the Fox News studio, you might see. Yeah. But you need to look at the numbers in this district and talk to anyone and everyone. And I can promise you that in the 10,000 miles on my Chevy, in the 7 town halls, Millville, Elks Lodge, Shoot Wolf, Old Vineland Tavern, let me know if you want to play, I will go to where people are and I will meet them on their terms. There's been too much judgment in politics, there's been too many purity tests. I'm not here for that. Because, yes, we need a strong Democratic base to flip the seat, but we need to bring folks back into the fold by listening first and talking second. I've stood outside of ShopRites in the most conservative parts of this district and asked people, what do you think about politics? I've heard some things that I think are a little ridiculous, but I want to hear from everyone because that is how you build a coalition that can win. But we need to get over some of the mistakes of the past as the Democratic Party and recognize that this is a golden opportunity, but it is not going to happen with the same old story. It has to be a new approach. It has to be taking risks. It has to be understanding that people might have made a mistake in the past by voting for Jeff Van Drew. We can welcome them in to making a better choice this cycle. But I think, first of all, politics needs to be shaken up, right? This cannot be a time just for going to Democratic clubs, just for going to a forum like this. So for me, it's a good day if I'm in 3 counties. I was at the Salem Oak Diner the other day. I met with folks who feel forgotten because politics has left them behind. It is time for that to end across NJ2.
Mr. Alexander, what political constituencies, alliances, and power bases would you call upon to defeat Jeff Van Drew?
So it's, when you look at endorsements, It's not just to be able to have bragging rights, it's the personnel behind those endorsements. We have to hit tons of doors more than once. We have to make tons of phone calls, postcarding. We have to reach people everywhere they are. I'm so proud that I'm endorsed by the Cumberland County Regular Democrats. I'm endorsed by the Atlantic County Democrats. I've been endorsed by mayors in Atlantic, in Cumberland, in Salem, and hopefully soon in Ocean counties. So, and a host of council members. I've been endorsed by Local 54 that comes with an army in of itself. We have boots that are ready to hit the ground, and we have even other resources that are going to help us, even if they don't endorse. This is how we're going to win. This is a grassroots effort. We got to get everybody out, and we got to have the people who are willing to do the hard work for us. I'm so proud that we're building our army, and we're going to unleash them. And I've been everywhere in this county. My office was in Salem County, one of my law offices. So living in Atlantic County, I have roots everywhere. And that plays well because I know the issues everywhere. And they're unique, they're not universal. They're not even universal within the counties. So you have to have that understanding to understand what people want, what they need, and the ability to deliver it to them. And I believe that every single thing I have on my website, as far as my policies and the way they're paid for, is the message with all this army, group of armies on the street to work for us. So that's how we're going to make this happen.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rowan, what political constituencies, alliances, and power bases would you call upon to defeat Van Drew?
I started with the harsh reality that losers don't legislate. And I say that because that is one of the most important parts of this. You heard a lot of great things, just like I did, from everyone up here. But if we don't win, we don't get to do any of those things. And we get more of the same. And so what we have to do is we have to bring together all the Democrats. Yes, that's a given. We have to do it. But secondly, does everybody know that Mikey Sherrill lost CD2 by 6 points? Mikey Sherrill crushed it in New Jersey. She went well beyond any of the estimates of her winning against Jack Tittle. But she lost this district by 6 points. How are we going to make up those 6 points? That is the biggest question of the night. You have to get those independents that typically vote for Jeff Van Drew. How do we convince those independents that vote for Jeff Van Drew to vote for a Democrat? Did you hear anything tonight that was radical? We talked about protecting health care. We talked about caring for the sick and the poor. Those are things that are universally accepted as Americans. We have to take that message to people, and we have to widen the tent. When you have these types of events, please ask your independent, and yes, Republican friends to come to these events. Because what they hear on Fox News or on social media is not what we're talking about. We're talking about important American principles that we all agree about. We have to welcome them into the tent. Thank you.
Mr. Finn, what political constituencies, alliances, and power bases would you call upon to defeat Jeff Van Drew?
For starters, I think an old quote from Will Rogers. He once said, "I don't belong to an organized party, I'm a Democrat." And I state with that, come with that, because it's going to take a big tent. It really is. It's going to take, we need to get, first, all of us out. No matter which one of us here at this table gets the nomination, it's going to take every one of our support to bring what we each individually bring to the table to support. It's going to take labor. Sometimes labor may at the top support a Democrat, but sometimes members say, Jeff can't be that bad. No, he really is that bad. He might say he supported the PRO Act. But what a lot of people in labor don't know is when he was in committee, he was trying to push through right to work for less language into that PRO Act. A bill that's supposed to strengthen unions, he is putting right to work language into that bill. So we need to tell labor, yeah, you might like Jeff because of guns, even though after his Fox News interview after Nurse Petty was murdered, but they might like him over guns, but you need to know what he really feels about labor. And the other thing is we do need to have someone who can bring in independents and maybe some Republicans. And I bring this up because I kind of live in two different circles sometimes. I have a lot of friends who are Republicans. And I remember when I was reaching out trying to start getting the petition signatures, which if anybody likes what they've been hearing today, please sign my petition later. But I reached out to a couple of friends, my guy I play hockey with, and he said, Bill, I'd love to, but I'm Republican. Not a Trump Republican, as he put it. I would support you definitely in general because you're a regular guy. And I end with that because that's what I've been saying from the start when I introduced myself, is we need to get, he says we need regular people back in our office. A voice from the people, for the people.